Hey everybody, welcome to Full Throttle Driving Academy. As you can see today, I'm sporting my Las Vegas PCA high performance driving event shirt from a few years back. We're on the precipice of an event coming up at Spring Mountain Charleston Peak Full track, one of the newest configurations at Spring Mountain, which is one of my absolute favorite tracks. So I thought I'd do a in-depth track tutorial for you, and hopefully if you purchase this, you will unlock your true potential and achieve really fast lap times. And I will tell you this, there are lots and lots of videos on YouTube of people with really bad driving. So I would be extremely cautious if you watch, amateur drivers going out there in super high powered 650 horsepower Corvettes and drag race down the straightaways, park it in the corner, drive the middle of the track, soft brake, do all the things that we instruct you not to do. And then you have to unlearn all these bad habits. So we're all about fundamentals at Full Throttle Driving Academy. And with that said, we're going to jump right into this awesome track and show you what this thing's all about. I just raced here less than 2 weeks ago. Had a really great time in our GT4 Clubsport and learned this track inside and out. I had already driven the Charleston Peak North course, which is a tiny bit shorter. This has an extension at turn 11, 12, 13, and 14, which radically changes the back third of the track in your approach to turn 14 and 15, which was a bit surprising to me because I had previously done a coaching video for my father, and I was instructing him based on his driving without me having driven the track. And now I would refine my coaching now that I've driven it myself. And that's what this video is going to be all about, is how to achieve an optimal lap time in a time trial setting or an HPD setting. And I hope this helps you out. First thing is we're looking at a track map. Do I use a track map to learn a track? Absolutely, but not in the way you might think. I usually check it out to get a little bit more comfortable with a few things, such as the entrance to the track, the exit of the track, and then the general shape of the corners. In terms of the radii of the corners. And then I also look for just memorization of, is the first corner a right or a left? Is there a straightaway after it, or is it a series of corners? How sharp do the corners look? Are they back to back to back, where I'm going to have to sacrifice one to maximize exit speeds on another? So as I'll go through this with you and kind of how I review a track map, and also some of the limitations of looking at a track map. So let's start with the beginning. First of all, you're probably going to grid somewhere over here, depending on your organization. And the entrance to the track is this nice little access road here. Be careful, stay to the left on the blend line to be safe. As you're coming on the track, look over here to the right and see if anyone's blasting down the straightaway so you don't cause an incident as you enter the track. I always recommend to people, a lot of people go out on the track, especially if you're going in the middle of a session, and they just sort of lollygag it as they come on here. I think that's a huge mistake. I go out hard and fast, and the reason for that, you don't want to have a huge speed differential with cars coming around turn 1 at 80, 90 miles per hour, and you're going 40. So get up to speed quickly, especially since this is a straightaway. And what I would try to do on your outlap is try to get those tires warm as quickly as possible. And the best way to do that is to use your brakes. So hit a lot of throttle on the straightaways and then use a lot of brake pressure in the corners. And that is the fastest way to get pressure up in your tires, because the brakes heat up really quickly. They transfer that weight all the way through the wheel and then heat up the air inside that tire much more uniformly than if you just weave back and forth like you see some racers. Weaving back and forth just scrubs the tires and gets rid of the debris and the pickup on the tires, but to warm them up, you use the acceleration on the brake pedal. As you can see, this track has 18 corners. It's a very technical track. It's probably one of the most technical tracks I've ever driven. It's super fun, it's fast, it's flowing. There are a lot of very tight corners, which require second gear in many cars. So the first thing I'm going to look at is, all right, turn 1 is a big wide sweeper. It looks to me as though that's going to be fairly high speed. There's nothing after turn 1. There's a straightaway. So this is a corner in isolation, which means we're going to use the whole track on the entrance, staying out to the left. We're going to hit our apex, and we're going to track all the way out, all the way out. I'm a huge stickler for using the whole track. You paid for it, so use it. Next one you see is turn 2. We're going to start all the way, obviously, to the left. This one is unique, and I'll show you why. There's a lot of camber in this corner, and you might notice here that you don't have a whole lot of time to shoot back over to get ready for turn 3. So a lot of people stay kind of in the middle of the track between turns 2 and turns 3, which is a mistake. I'll show you why. You want to track all the way out on turn 2 at full throttle. You have plenty of time to work your way back over before turn 3, and I will prove that to you with my videos. Turn 3 has a ton of beneficial camber right in here in this little sweet spot. So you want to get in there, rotate the car early. I'll show you how that looks, and you can get to full throttle sooner than you think. And then here you track out and you have a nice straightaway here. So we want to maximize our exit speed here on turn 3. The next one, this is probably one of the trickiest corners on the whole track. It's off camber. It's off camber here. It's off camber here. The further you get out to the left, the steeper the off camber gets, and you feel like you're going to slide off the track. It was deliberately designed that way to make the track more challenging. And by gosh, they did a good job. It's super challenging. You have to really be patient and do all of your rotation in the corner right here to prepare for your exit. And you want to get far right on this curb on the right because it's flat up here. The further you push out to the left, to the outside of the corner, the less traction you're going to have. It's almost proportionally less traction. So be really careful here. I've seen people spin out like crazy. You're also having a long straightaway here. So it's really important to maximize your exit speed on turn 4B, called the Badgers. Setting up for turn 5, you might see, oh my gosh, this thing is almost 180-degree hairpin. It's probably the second slowest corner on the track. Actually, turn 12 is probably the slowest. Turn 5, I'll show you what that looks like, but you want to stay as far left. You want to do a super late apex. You want to hit the apex about right there, 2/3 of the way through. More important than the apex on this is the orientation of your car at the apex. You want to be aimed that way. Most people are aimed that way, which is completely incorrect. So I will show you what it means to not only achieve hitting an apex, but how to rotate your car and get the car pointed in the proper direction. I call that car orientation, which is 50% of the equation. The other 50% is hitting your apex. When you exit this, stay all the way out. You're coming up towards turn 6 and 7, which is a real tricky uphill section, blind. We're going to start all the way out to the right before turn 6. We're going to get a lot of turning done in the first part of the corner, so we're aimed down the hill. We're going to give a burst of full throttle. Most people completely just coast between 6 and 7. They go way too slow. You give a burst of full throttle. You do a light braking. You stay right on the inside rail all the way around here. It's a little bit of an unorthodox corner, but you maximize your speed on 6. You carry all that speed through the entry of 7. You ride the rail like a roller coaster around the inside of 7. And then you let the car run free on the exit. You track all the way out on turn 7. And then you have plenty of time to kind of get to mid-track for turn 8, which is the fastest long sweeper. It's 180 degrees, and it's a lengthy corner. Your main goal here is to maintain maximum speed and get a lot of rotation done in the corner, like right about here, so that you can maximize getting to full throttle as soon as possible. So you kind of come wide, and then you aim here for this. You get to full throttle about right in here, and then you're going to track all the way out. And if you don't track all the way out, you're going to give up a half a second. Most people are afraid to track out, just in general, especially beginners. I'm going to teach you how to get more confident and get the car running free, straightening your hands. We call that unwinding the wheel as you exit. As you accelerate, you are concurrently straightening your hands so that you can get to full throttle. Car goes fastest in a straight line with your hands perfectly straight, foot to the floor. The only way you can get your foot to the floor with your hands straight is to get rotation done early in the corner and let the car run free on the exit. And then you can start opening your hands up and let the car run free where it wants to go. You have a nice straightaway here, followed by a fast left-hand sweeper, turn 9, which is a good corner to kind of kiss the curb on the left. You want the car to track all the way out on the right hand side. Most people do not track all the way out. You really need to. It's very comfortable out here. Get comfortable with it. Try it out on your out lap. Run over these curbs. Feel what it feels like. This is the trickiest section here, turn 10 and 11. I'll walk you through what that looks like. Most people brake either way too early or a little bit too late, and then they miss this first apex. It's really important to get the car turned really sharp. It's a very steep downhill for turn 10. You want to stay to the right, pivot the car sharply, and aim through turn 11 and go up the hill in turn 11 in a straight line with your hands completely straight, and you can track all the way out on the exit. It's scary because it's completely blind right here. But if you know what's going to happen when you exit the crest of the hill and your car is going straight, you kind of launch over the hill. There's no drama. And when you land, you're almost tracked out all the way, and then you can straighten your hands. I'll show you what that looks like. If you can nail turns 10 and 11, you will gain on your rivals drastically. Turn 12, most people brake too early, or they turn in way too early. They cheat the corner. I call it crabbing or cheating in. They kind of gradually kind of drift down. That's a no-no. We want to stay all the way hard left. We want to do a super late apex. We want to aim for this 2/3 of the way through the corner roughly. We want to get the car completely rotated so it's facing kind of that way on when you hit the apex, that orientation that I've been talking about. And you can track all the way out and just stay all the way out to the left. Most people do not track out properly, and they drive the middle of the track and they compromise at least a half of a second. Turn 13, 14, 15 is the trickiest section on the track by far. You've got a fast right-hander, which goes downhill. You have to use the brakes hard here on turn 14, which starts to go back uphill. You have to lift at the crest of 14 to prevent the car from pushing out here. And you want to stay hard left and orient the car so you can go straight line down the hill. And you want to basically straighten this section out at full throttle. If you can nail the entrance to turn 14, you can go full throttle all the way through 15. I guess they should have called this a corner. I think this is also a corner. It's like 15B. And then you can carry that speed all the way down through turn 16. 16 is a tough one because it's really fast. A lot of people super slow down here. You want to brake really hard. You then turn in. You don't necessarily hit this apex. You don't hit that because it puts you, it makes your car turn too sharply. You want to make this a nice gradual turn and let the car drift out to the left. Just let it go, let it run out. And then when you get out here, straighten the car, brake in a straight line as hard as you can, and get that thing completely slowed down so you can hug this right-hander and stay all the way to the right. And then this here is a lift of the throttle. You get a heavy rotation. You hit the apex and you run over that left-hand curb, and you see how quickly you can get to full throttle and ride all the way out down this main straightaway. So that's the track map, and that's how I go about kind of looking at that. It doesn't show you elevation changes. It doesn't show you camber. It doesn't show you the curbs. It doesn't show you the banking. It doesn't show you the track out gators. It doesn't show you surface variations. So we've got 5 or 6 limiting factors with looking at an aerial view of a very flat two-dimensional track map. So it's a starting point, all right? That's about all you can do with the track map. I would take notes on the track map. If you have trouble memorizing a track, play this back in your head, watch videos, then look back at the track map, make some notes. The more you write down, the more you'll commit to memory. Some people are visual learners, so track maps work great. Some people are kinesthetic learners, so you got to drive it to feel it. Some people can just listen to me blab like this and be auditory learners, and they can absorb a lot of content. So that said, let's jump out of track map mode and get into video mode. All right, now we're in the cockpit. Much better view than the track map view, eh? All right, so you're gonna have to look at me up by the rearview mirror. In the upper right-hand corner, you've got the in-car camera. You can watch hands and feet. This is a V-Box data system. It's really expensive, and I like it a lot. It came with the car. I have been using Garmin Catalyst, which I really like. If you want to spend $1,000, I don't think there's a better value out there for a data acquisition system and a camera. I don't get paid by Garmin, but Garmin, if you're watching, I think I've sold like 500 Garmin Catalysts, so you can give me a commission or an affiliate link if you want. All right, so the car is a GT4 Clubsport. It's a 2020. It's going to be faster than almost anything at an HPDE event, unless it's a full-blown, race car. This car runs on slicks. It's a factory race car from Porsche, and it makes about 390 horsepower at the wheels. It weighs about 2,900 pounds without my body in it, 3,200 with me and fuel. So it's a heavy car, but it's a street car essentially that's been modified. So it's quick. And I'm going to hustle this car as best I can. This is a race weekend with the Porsche Owners Club. I'm out in a practice session. This lap is going to be like a 2-minute 20 lap. What I'd like to do is break it down for you in slow-mo, or basically I'm going to go through the corners at full speed, back it up, and sort of walk you through what you'd be looking at, what you'll be listening for, show you the optimal line, and generally annotate on the screen so you can see what you should be doing. This wasn't necessarily the most clean lap I had, even though it was my fastest lap time, but I screwed up a couple of corners. So I'll identify what I could have done better, because my optimal lap should have been a high 218. So I still had a lot of time on the table, and I never really put the whole lap together the whole weekend, but 220 was really quick for this weekend, so I was happy with it. And what you're looking at here is turn 17. I like to start my tutorials showing how you set up for a hot lap in a qualifying session, or if you're in an HPDE, you're looking for lap times in a safe environment. So you're really trying to set up turn 17 and 18 so you can maximize your straight line speed down the main straightaway by the start finish line. All right, so we're looking at this. On turn 18, you don't track out. Normally you would, but on this, it's really critical that you stay hard right, because you don't have any time at all to work your way back over to the right. So you want to stay here and get parallel with the candy stripe. I call it a candy stripe. It's the red and white, curb. So we'll call it candy stripe just for terminology's sake. And the blue, I'll just call it the blue. So candy stripe and the blue. In many cases, we're going to run over the candy stripe. And in many cases, we're going to go all the way out and run over the blue. In this case, we're going to kind of ride the candy stripe in a parallel way. We stay parallel to this red and white candy stripe. And we're going to aim for hitting the apex around 2/3 of the way through the corner. You maximize throttle here. You notice I'm full throttle right here. It's nice to have throttle and brake pressure, isn't it, on the video? And then we just do a lift. We do a lift about here. Lift the throttle hard to get the car to turn better, because it puts a little bit more weight on the front tires. And then as soon as we feel the car pivot nicely and get the car aimed toward that 2/3 apex, the car is going to rotate really well. And then we start applying our throttle progressively. And we're going to maximize throttle as soon as we can, so we can get that straightaway speed topped out. So let's look at how this goes. There's a lift, full throttle. Now notice I'm tracking out, right? Most people are reluctant. They kind of track out here. Notice my right wheels, I'm on the blue. And how many feet do you think that is from here to here? If you walk the track, I bet you it's 5 or 6 feet wide. So imagine if you could extend every bit of the track 5 or 6 feet. You've essentially allowed yourself much more room to track out. You can straighten your hands, you can let the car run free, you can get to throttle sooner. You basically widen the track, you reduce the radius of the corner, make it easy on yourself. So it's really, really critical to use every inch of that damn track that they give you. And the red and blue is part of the track. Now, if you're a beginner, you don't do this because you got to get used to it. And so maybe on the, work on kissing the curb. That would be your right wheel hitting the white line and maybe kissing the red and white candy stripe. And then gradually kind of work your way here, gradually kind of work your way here, and kind of inch your way to tracking out, which will allow you to get to throttle a little bit sooner on the exit of each corner. And the key part here is you're turning your hands straighter the more gas you give. So there's an inverse relationship. More gas means less steering, and vice versa. You can't give full throttle if you're still turned a lot. You can only give full throttle as you're reducing steering input. Otherwise, you can spin out and get the car loose. So it's really key to think about a fluid motion of unwinding your steering wheel as you gradually come on to full throttle. That's just a fundamental aspect of performance driving. All right, so now we're going to boogie down this straightaway. Stay right for quite a while here. There's no need to get all the way back to the left. Just do it gradually. And then, hey, who's that guy? There's your flag waver. Acknowledge them on your outlap and kind of wave to them. Make sure you know where they are. They're the only way that the track can communicate with you when you're out there, and they're here to protect you and keep you safe. Now we're going to go get to the left, and we're approaching the braking zone. Here's another fundamental tip for you. A lot of people say, well, hey, where do you start braking? You start at the 2, do you start at the 1, do you start at the 3? I don't have a clue. Because imagine you're coming to a stoplight in your streetcar. Are you suddenly looking off to the side of the road to try to figure out where you're going to start braking so you can slow down for the stoplight? No one does that. That would be silly, right? So why would you look to the left when the turn is going to the right? So people always say well, how do you know where to stop? The reality is your brain is a prediction machine. It can compute how the car should be slowing down to make a corner. It's very good at speed sensing. It's also very good at traction sensing as you get more experience. So people say, well, how do you know where to stop? Well, first of all, you're scanning with your eyes, back and forth, back and forth. I'm kind of looking straight ahead toward my turn-in point, but I'm also looking then through the corner. I'm trying to predict where I'm going to end up on the corner. I'm also predicting where I'm going to hit the apex. I'm predicting where I'm going to start turning in. I'm predicting where I'm going to end my braking zone. And that's more important than where you're going to start your braking, is where am I going to start releasing the brake pedal so that I can get turned in on this corner and carry a high amount of speed. It's much more important because if you focus on where you start braking, what if you came down this straightaway 5 miles per hour faster this lap than next lap? Well, clearly your start of braking point is going to have to be adjustable. It's never going to be the same because your speed is going to dictate where you need to start braking. You're also going to be doing kind of, I would say, this is a pretty hard brake, but it's a short brake. You're going to go from, 105 down to maybe, 80 or so when we turn in, because this is a pretty high speed corner. So let's watch this at full speed. Watch my throttle. You can slow it down, watch it at 50% speed on YouTube or whatever, and see the brake pressure. And then see if you can watch my hands when I start turning in and how I release the brake pedal as I start turning in. And that's another important fundamental, is how you do release the brake pedal. All right, so enough talking. Let's watch this at full speed and then we'll back it up. You get on the candy stripe and then you get to full throttle and you track all the way out. Watch it again at full speed. Full throttle. Hard brake, start releasing the brakes as you turn in, get all the way to the apex 2/3 of the way through, full throttle, track all the way out, get on the red candy stripe at minimum, sometimes kiss the blue. Alright, so now the whole thing, you're turning on the final straightaway, full throttle, we're gradually moving our way to the left. We're going to do a hard brake, but it's short. Start releasing the brake as you turn in, get 2/3 of the way through, full throttle, track all the way out as you unwind your hands. Now, I hope that's helpful. I will back this up just a tad so you can see how we set up for turn 2, which is, as you can see, going to be a challenge because it's banked to your detriment. It's an off camber corner. However, so you lose traction essentially. The further you get to the left, the more traction you're going to lose. So what we want to do is have a late apex, but I like to really get on this curb right here. And if you get on the curb, the reason it's a little bit flatter right there. It's flatter here, but it kind of really tapers down there. So you want to get the car over here, hard right, and kiss that candy stripe on the right. And then on the exit of this corner, we're going to track all the way out to the left as we apply a burst of full throttle. Let's watch this at full speed. And notice here where I'm braking. Again, I couldn't tell you where I start braking, but I know where I want to be when I release the brake pedal and how fast my entry speed should be, because you can feel it, you can hear it, you can sense it. And that's where you need to get as a performance driver. Sense the speed. What are the tires telling you? What sounds are they making? What RPM is the engine sound like? Because you can't be looking down at the speedometer, right? You can't. And looking to the left doesn't make any sense. You want to be looking through the corner, and you want to be concentrating on where you want to be ending the braking and how you want to start releasing the brake pedal. So I'm already braking, going through this corner. Again, I said, track all the way out, give it a burst of full throttle. Back it up. Okay, I'm exiting turn 1, I'm headed towards turns 2. I'm going to do a threshold braking, which means maximum braking right before the ABS kicks in. How do you know that? Experience. If you have a great ABS car, you can smash the pedal to the floor and your ABS will go, you'll feel that. Back it off 5% from there, and then the car actually stops faster if you don't engage APS. So that ABS, you just want to be right at the threshold before ABS kicks in. You don't know where that is though, unless you go a little bit past it and engage ABS. So sometimes you have to go to an 11 to find where the 10 is, you know what I mean? And most people end up being comfortable driving around at an 8 or a 9, and they never really find the 10. So full throttle is about getting you to find the 10. Full throttle, maximum brake. See the pressure? It's almost maximum, not quite. And now I'm going to start fine-tuning my braking to get the speed where I want it to be for the turn-in. And you can watch my hands. It's fairly smooth. It's not a ton of turning. It's pretty stable. And then watch how we kind of let the car run free on the exit here. We're going to go all the way out. It makes that radius much more gradual. We can use the whole track and carry a lot more speed than if we pinch the corner off by turning the wheel too much. So many beginners, are just want to turn, and they want to keep turning and feel the G-forces. It's so fun to feel the G's. You got to get comfortable releasing the steering wheel and feeling a reduction in G-forces as you exit the corner. You want to feel less, not more. That's your goal. Okay? You want to carry maximum G's in the braking zone. Boom. And when you turn in toward the apex, you're also going to have the tire at the limit of traction. You're going to feel maximum lateral G's as you get down toward the apex. But as soon as you hit the apex and start accelerating, you should feel a reduction in lateral G's. Okay? We'll watch this one more time, and you can slow it down. You can watch the throttle, brake application, and the steering. It's an orchestrated dance. You're doing all of these things at one time. So it's not like you can just say, hey, brake, release, turn the wheel. No, you're braking hard. As you release the brake pedal, you start turning in. It's called trail braking, but almost every corner on this track, I am doing a ton of trail braking, meaning all it means is braking and turning at the same time. But it's the rate and release of the brake pedal that's the magic between advanced and expert drivers, or intermediate to advanced, is how do you how do you start releasing the brake pedal? When do you start releasing the brake pedal? How fast do you release the brake pedal? As you start to turn in. All of those things are fine tuning, and those make all the difference in performance driving. And it takes a lot of experience to get there, I think. All right, so we're gonna do threshold braking. As we start releasing, we're gonna turn in, we're gonna hit the candy stripe, we're gonna track all the way out on the left, and we're gonna get back over all the way to the right to set up turn 3. I'm gonna stop it here, and let's watch turn 3 at full speed, and then we'll back it up and I'll show you why we do what we do. All right, this is going into turn 2 again. All right, it's a fun corner. It's tricky. Let's back it up. All right, we've exited turn 2. We're going to have to move fairly quickly back over to get ready for turn 3. It's very important to move all the way back over to the right, all the way, parallel with the red candy stripe. Now, I'm still moving over, and I've already started my braking. This is a little bit different. Usually you're gonna do maximum braking in a straight line, but I'm still kind of inching my way back to the right. I'm gonna start braking as I keep drifting to the right, and then I'm gonna straighten the wheel and finish my braking in a straight line along the red candy stripe right there. And notice I've already released a lot of brake pressure. Now, what do you see about this corner? You start to see the trends in how we do this coaching. I hope you're noticing now that, holy moly, that is a lot of banking. It's like a compression. It's downhill, and as soon as you get down there, you start to go back up the hill, and when you start going back up the hill, your car compresses and it pushes more weight into the tires. You pick up traction. So you can use this compression to an advantage to get even faster exit speeds. And anytime you see a compression, you want to be in it, because it's like a NASCAR track. Anytime there's banking, you pick up traction. And in this case, it's banked, and it's banked like this. It's also downhill, and it compresses, and then it starts going back uphill. So you get a double whammy of advantage here. So this corner is really fun, and you can go faster through this corner than you might otherwise think if this track was perfectly flat. So I've started turning in. Look, I got a lot of steering input there in my hands up here, and we're gonna kind of get down into this compression. And as soon as we feel the car start going back up the hill, that's when we can get to full throttle, because the car is going to gain traction as we do that. Right there, boom, in. You notice there, when we came out of the corner, see, we're in the compression, we hit the red candy stripe, we run all over that thing, it's pretty flat. We start getting to throttle. We're already at about 30-40%. We wait a second, and as soon as we hit the uphill section right now, look, we're already at full throttle. And look where the car's aimed. We got a lot of rotation, meaning the car, what do I mean by rotation? Rotation is looking down from the top. If you're in a satellite view, the car moving like this, the yaw of the car. It's one thing to turn the steering wheel. It's another to have a little bit of brake pressure on the car, put more weight on the front tires, and then it kind of pivots on the axis, and it helps you get the car turned more. We want to get the car turned more in the first part of these corners, especially these sharp corners, so that when we come out of them, we're aimed this way. A lot of people, when they come out of this corner, they're kind of aimed this way, which means they can't get to full throttle. So it's really important to focus on how much turning, how much rotation can you get done in the first part of a corner to allow you to get to full throttle sooner. So I'm kind of throwing a lot of tips at you that are fundamentals as we go through each of these unique corners here. All right, so now we're pointed in a good direction. We're going uphill. We got a lot of traction, full throttle, track all the way out to the blue on this corner, okay? This turn 3. See, we run over the red and we run over the blue. Now, we're headed down towards corner section called the Badgers, which is an off camber, turn 4A, turn 4B, and it's really tricky because this is another really bad off-camber corner, and I say bad in a congenial way, I guess, because I give a lot of credit to the guys who developed this track, because they added a whole different level of challenge by making this banked so heavily to your detriment. So if you stay hard left here, you're going to feel like you have zero traction. The key is to sort of angle the car here in the braking zone so you can stay out of this mess. You don't want to be over here. And there's double apex corner. You're going through 4A, and then you got 4B over here. So the key is, okay, we're not gonna hit the apex on the first one. We're gonna take it a bit wide, okay? And we're gonna kind of arc in here, and then we're gonna rotate the car a lot over here. I'm off the track now, that's not a good example. Let's look at it, and then you'll see what I mean. Sorry about that. All right, so we're gonna come in. We're still braking. Look, I got a lot of brake pressure because we want weight on the front wheels to keep this car turning, because it's gonna push because of the nature of this off-camber corner. We got to keep a little more weight on the front end to keep the car turning. Now, as we rotate, we're getting the car, because we had that brake pressure, the car pivoted a lot. You know, we got a good solid turn. And now look, we're aimed in a good direction toward the second apex. And we want to kind of aim for whoops. All right, so ideally, we want to hit this apex at about that angle. But if you'll notice, I'm probably going to miss it by 4 or 5 feet. I didn't lift quite enough to rotate the car enough, so I'm going to swing a bit wide. And it's not going to be too problematic because we're not down the slope yet. You know, it's angled down here. If you get anywhere over here, you lose traction too much. But we're still going to be kind of right in here, and that's okay. Flat line, so we'll be right in there. And we'll carry a lot of speed, but I should have been 3 more feet to the right, and obviously I should clip the red candy stripe here, but I miss it. But no harm, no foul, because we're still carrying enough speed. Again, more important to drive at the limit than driving at the exact perfect line. So let's go through here. And notice how we tracked all the way out to the blue. Very important. Some people may be more comfortable kind of tracking out to the white line. As you get more confident, you can track out to the end of the red candy stripe. If you go past here, the blue slopes downward too much, and it can upset the car and you could go off the track. So don't go past maybe here. Okay, that would be the furthest out. We want you to go there to be safe. One last time, and then we'll skip to the next major fun corner, which is turn 5. Probably the second slowest corner on the whole track. All right. Coming into this sequence here, the Badgers. So again, lift to rotate, full throttle, track all the way out. Okay, now we're carrying a lot of speed. Let's watch this next corner, turn 5. All right, I'll take you through it at full speed, and then we will go back and annotate, okay? So we're going to carry full throttle. We're going to aim to the left. There's some yellow here. But right about here, we want to aim left, straight line brake, threshold brake, hold the brake, be very patient, turn in super late, hit the curb, track all the way out under full throttle, go all the way to the blue, take your time getting back over to the right. Back it up. All right, so we are approaching turn 5. We're going downhill slightly, meaning the braking zone will be elongated. We have to prepare that the braking will take longer. We have to brake really hard, threshold braking. You notice this yellow thingamajigger here, this kind of a bus stop, I guess. It's kind of slippery. It's flat. There's blue beyond that. It's also flat, so you can run over it. You notice some people started braking on the yellow right here. You can see the tire marks. They broke too early. Basically, just gradually aim to the left, straighten your hands, and brake parallel along the left candy stripe. And you're going to do threshold braking, and it's going to take a little longer to slow down. All right, so let's go to the end here. There you started the braking, and we're braking much earlier than if the track was flat or slightly uphill. So we're really on the binders here. It's going to take a long time to slow down. Now the key thing is we want to keep that brake pressure on until we're going to be decisive with our turn in. This is going to be a point where your hands are relatively quick with the steering wheel because you'll be going only in the 30 to 30, high 30s, low 40s. So very slow corner. You're going to wait and start releasing that brake pressure until you're ready to start turning in very decisively, and you'll be aiming for a really super duper late apex, about 2/3 of the way through. And it's really key to get the car oriented down the next straightaway after this corner. So we'll see how that happens here. See, still full braking. Now we're off the brakes. We're turning in really sharp. If you look at my hands up here, they're completely twisted like that. That's about as far as you can turn the steering wheel. So this is an extremely sharp corner. Notice that we're going to be hitting the apex about here. Car is aimed here right now. We're going to keep waiting. We're just barely breathing on the throttle here. We're going to wait for that rotation to complete, so we'll get the car pointed where we can start applying full throttle. Now, another thing is, as we come out of this corner, we start going uphill. So about 3/4 of the way through the corner, you actually pick up traction, so you can get to throttle a little bit sooner than if the track had been flat. So as we come out of here, we're already, full throttle. We want to get all the way over to the left. I'm going to try to run over the blue. It has nice little gradations that go bump, 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 but they don't upset your car because your hands have unwound. You're headed straight. I'm still turning at this point. I'm kind of starting to release my hands and straighten out the wheel. And in doing so, we can continue applying that full throttle. So there we go. We're still full throttle. We're all the way on the blue. Hands are almost straight, straightening, and now they're straight. We're going to stay to the left here because the car goes fastest when it's traveling in a straight line. So we're going to try to preserve the duration of that straightaway speed before we start creeping over to the right to prepare ourselves for this difficult sequence, turn 6 and 7. All right, so I'm inching my way over. We're back over, heading up for turn 6. We're going uphill, so your car is not accelerating quite as fast. You notice that as we come to this corner, let's watch the whole sequence. It's uphill, then it goes downhill, and then it's a nice right-hand sweeper, and you'll track all the way out on the exit of 7. This section, if done correctly, is really, really fun, but it's a little scary for people because it's a blind corner. And then you crest the corner, and if your hands aren't straight, you can slide the car. So what we want to do is we want to prepare for this corner. We want to be far right, as we are here. And I'm already turning into the left. Look at my hands. And I'm going to try to get a lot of early rotation on this, okay? We're going to get that car pivoted and get most of the turning done as we're headed up the hill. And when we get to the top, which is here, we want to make sure most of the turning is done so we can straighten the hands, and then we'll give a burst of full throttle as we head down the hill. Most people coast or barely give throttle at the crest of this hill, losing probably a good half a second. Want to make sure we give a hustle to the car by bursting that full throttle. And so let's look at that in slow-mo kind of here. All right, so we're over the hill. We've got a lot of turning. We're still turning, and we're full throttle already because we did such a good sharp turn going up the hill because we had a lot of traction. Now I'm on the red candy stripe. It does not really upset the car. And that got a little squirrely just for a quick second, a quick correction with the wheel. But now look, we came over the top. I've lifted to get a little weight on the front nose because as we start to go down a hill, the front end of the car gets light. Think of like a roller coaster. So we want to let the weight transfer to the front of the car. So a lift of the throttle with our hands, which are straight, is a safe way to do it. If I had still been turning the wheel, you know, I guess it's that way, turning the wheel and then lifted, that can cause a spin out. But because the hands are straight over the hill and we're headed straight down the hill, we can safely lift off the gas, and now we can give a burst of full throttle straight down this nice hill and pick up a lot of speed, and then we can just brush the brakes at the bottom of this little hill here, and we can ride the inside rail all around this high-speed corner. So watch this. We're going to give full throttle. I guess I went too far. Full throttle there. We're going down the hill. And then we lift off full throttle as we come to the bottom of the hill. And now we brush the brakes just a little bit. And now we're going to set up to ride the inside rail around this corner. So notice that the right tires are on the red candy stripe. And it really does suck you in there like a roller coaster. So you can just ride that around. I'm holding, 60% throttle input. Now we start going up a tiny hill again. This actually starts ascending. So you'll feel the car pick up some traction and you'll feel it. It feels great. So you can start feeding in even more throttle now, gradually, progressively, and then you can let the car run free on the exit and track all the way out on the exit of turn 7. So there we go. We're full throttle already, and we're going to let the car run free all the way out to the left. So I hope that made sense. I'll watch it one more time for you. And the whole series, again, as we go up the hill, we're going to use a very light brake pressure as we go up the hill. We're going to turn in pretty sharp to get the car rotated as we go up the hill. As we crest the hill, that's when we're going to start straightening our hands, and then we're going to give a burst of full throttle. As we get down the hill, then we're going to lightly brake, ride the inside rail around, and then track all the way out. Brake a little bit, full throttle down the hill, straight hands, light brake, ride the rail, track all the way out. Great. Now let's watch turn 8. High-speed sweeper, 180 degrees. Light brakes before it just to set the speed. Carry a lot of momentum. Rotate, get to full throttle early, and track all the way out. Okay, so you saw that. So here we go. We've gone left at the end, exit of 7. We're full throttle. We're going to be coming into this corner a little bit too hot. So we want to use some light brake pressure. This is mainly to set the speed of the car. And we want to keep that car flat as much as we can. The flatter the car, the platform, meaning it's not coming in under hard brakes on its nose. You're not slamming on the gas, putting the weight on the rear. You're lightly brushing the brakes. The car will then then you lift off the brakes. The car flattens out as we start to turn in. You don't want trail braking on this corner because it's high speed. We want all the traction on all 4 tires as much as possible. So keep the car flat is really key. So we're going to use light brake pressure on the higher speed corners like this one to set our entry speed. So we'll come in pretty hot. I think, here we go, 104 was our max speed there. And now we've slowed only down to 90. So 14 miles per hour is we've breathed the brake pedal a little bit. And now we're still turning in as we brake, just a tad here to keep a little more weight on the nose. But now we're completely off the brakes and we give maintenance throttle. We want to maintain our speed through here. You'll notice that I'm going to feather the throttle and play with it a little bit because I'm feeling for traction. And most notably, what I found here, if you get out here, anything out beyond in this area, this track loses traction. There are marbles and debris. The track surface doesn't have any rubber on it because very few people are out there. And the only time I've ever spun out on this track was in this corner because I went a little bit too wide experimenting and I just lost traction. So stay like a third of the way through, you know, stay there and don't get too far out. Don't go beyond, say, halfway on this corner. Now you're going to try to get a lot of rotation done so that you can be aimed this way. So you're going to lift the throttle a little bit, around 2/3 of the way through this corner, and that's going to help the car pivot. And then you're going to work on progressively feeding in the gas on the exit so you can have a super strong, fast exit. So here we go. Slight lift there to rotate. Now I feel good. I see that I'm now aimed down toward an apex here, but I hit an apex super early on this corner. Why am I hitting an early apex instead of like coming all the way out, say, to here? I apexed back here, probably back here more like, because this track opens up. It's really wide on the exit, and you can use every inch of the track. So the key is, how soon can you get to full throttle? And the sooner you get to full throttle and you can carry that and start straining your hands, that will be amplified all the way down the upcoming straightaway. So it's all about first to throttle here. And watch how early we're getting to full throttle. Right there. So, you know, we're still rolling around this corner. There's still some to go. But now the car is going to start drifting out naturally out this direction. You know, I'm going to kind of end up probably hitting the curbs about here. But the car is just nice four-wheel kind of, there's a nice slip angle. You're starting to straighten your hands as you feed in this full throttle and just let the car go. Let it go free. And then you can track all the way out to the red and white candy stripes. So let's see, from this point on, we're just going to carry full throttle all the way through. And there we go. Nice, no drama here, hitting those candy stripes. Perfectly straight hands. Now we're headed down a straightaway. Watch it one more time with you, and then we'll skip on to turn 9, which is also a left-hander. Throttle, light brake, ride the rail, track out. Hustle your way into turn 8. Carry as much speed as you can. Lift to rotate. Now start feeding in the throttle. Full throttle now. Track out to the candy stripe straight hands. Get ready for the next corner, turn 9. It's a nice straightforward corner. Medium brakes. Ride the left-handed rail and track all the way out. And move your way back over gently before you go into the hardest corner sequence here on the track. All right, we'll watch that one later. Let's go for turn 9. We're back on 6. Here's 7. And we're going to do 8 again. And then as we go in for turn 9, we're coming around here. Turn 9 is a pretty easy left-hander. It's high speed. So we're going to be slowing down here. It's a hard braking zone, but it's a soft braking zone. Hard braking, but it's a short duration braking zone. So we got on the brakes here. We're going to get off of them. We're going to do some trail braking here and start releasing the brake pedal as we start to turn our hands. And then we're going to try to do kind of a medium to late apex on this corner. Because there is banking, we can do a slightly earlier apex than normal. See how it's kind of sloped down here? So you can get in on this corner a little bit earlier than normal, and you'll pick up traction because of that banking. So we're still trail braking. Now we're off the brakes completely. We've still got some good steering angle. The car is still going to be kind of slipping out a little bit, so centripetal force will be pushing us out. We're feeding in some pretty decent throttle well before the apex here. Now I lifted to rotate the car, and now here we are. We're in the corner. We're on the rail. We went in a little early because not only did we have the banking of the corner, this has a slight uphill section right here. So your car gains a lot of traction just all of a sudden, right about this point here where you can see. We're headed uphill, and you're going to gain a lot of traction so you can carry a lot of speed. So here we go. We're going to go full throttle. We're not even out of the corner yet, but full throttle. This will be carried all the way through the exit tracking all the way out past the red and white candy stripe to the blue. And it's a no drama kind of situation. And there we go. You're in the blue, the hands are now straightening, and we're headed toward turn 10 and 11. So let's watch 10 and 11. Hard braking zone, earlier than you think. This goes downhill, really steep, and you're gonna rotate, and you're gonna go up a hill over a blind corner, and you're gonna track all the way out. This corner sequence gives people a lot of trouble, and for good reason. Let's back it up. Now, I screw this section up a tiny bit, and I missed the apex by 5 feet. So we're coming into this. We moved back over to the left to set up a very steep blind right hand downhill. Now, a couple things. We always talk about the banking. There's a little bit of beneficial banking here, but as soon as you start going down this hill, it feels like the track is falling away from you. It's a very steep descent, almost like a ski run. So we want to get maximum braking and get the car slowed down, because once you start going down the hill, the car really doesn't want to turn. So you got to get your braking done before you really start heading down the hill, okay? And this is going to take some experimentation. If you overshoot the corner, it's okay, like I do here. I'm going to miss this apex by 5 feet. You can still recover from it, but this is not perfectly optimal. I should have started my braking probably 5 to 10 feet earlier than I did. So, lesson learned. So I'm holding that hard brake pressure till right till you start going down the hill. And there, look, I'm just a little too quick. I'm going 48. At this point, I should probably be going maybe 44, 45, and then I would have been able to hit my apex. So ideally, as you come down this hill, you really want to be hugging, you want to hit that apex here, and then you want to stay to the right. Because what matters most is exit speed coming out of this corner, because you can carry that speed all the way down a lengthy straightaway. So we don't need to go super fast on this short little section here, because you're only in there for 3 or 4 seconds. It's more important to set up for the longer, faster section, which is this and this. So I call this a sacrifice corner, and you're really using this corner to set up for the next one, because you have to look at them as a group of corners. There's no straightaway between these. It's just a linked series of corners. So you can't be fast through both of them. You have to be faster in the second one than the first, because the second one leads onto a long straightaway. Hope that makes sense. So let's see how I kind of blow this one. I missed it by 5 feet. Now I'm going to have to scooch back over to the right a little bit. And then it's a hard left. And what you want to be doing is get a lot of turning done early in this corner. It flattens out here, and then you start headed up this hill, which is completely blind. So you're going to have to experiment with the angle of departure, I guess. So if you hit this and you aim that way, let's say, and you go full throttle over the hill, you have to figure out, okay, where am I going to land when I come over the top of the hill? And generally, most people are kind of aiming this way, like they're turning way too sharp. They're aiming and they're coming out somewhere in the middle of the track. So if you do that your first time around, that's fine. But every time thereafter, start changing your angle just a little bit. Change your angle until when you exit the top of the hill, you're tracking out to the red and white candy stripe. Because you want to turn as little as possible coming out of this thing. You want to get straight with your hands, and you want to be able to get to full throttle. You don't want to be cranking the wheel and gingerly applying the throttle and then running through the middle of the track. You're sacrificing all the width of the track. You're sacrificing your throttle input. You're turning the car too much. So our goal is to turn as little as possible, straighten our hands, and get the throttle quickly. So let's see how we do on this. So see how when we land here, we're already on the blue. Very few people are tracking out here. I've seen a lot of people come out to like here. Some people come out to here. Maybe some people come out to here and very few come out to here. You want to be here. So work your way over incrementally in a safe way, okay? And you don't have to go to full throttle to do that. You can just work on your departure angle over the hill with your hands straight and just gradually change the angle every lap, gradually increase your throttle input on every lap until you get comfortable that you're aimed the correct way and you have a safe exit, because you can really save a lot of time on this, because now we're full throttle and we get to carry this speed all the way down a long straightaway, which also happens to be slightly downhill. All right, so we'll watch it one more time and then we'll move on to the tightest, slowest corner on the track, which is turn 12. All right, so here we are approaching turns 10 and 11. So again, hard brakes. Release as you start to turn in. Tight left, aim straight up over the hill, straighten the hands, come out, full throttle, and now we're going to carry this all the way down the straightaway. This is going to be a maximum braking downhill, late apex, super late apex. Clip the curb a little bit, unwind the hands, track all the way out to the blue, stay left. And now we'd be headed up towards 13, 14, 15. All right. Coming down the straightaway. This is another one where, hey, looky here. We've got another yellow thingamajigger here. You want to aim there. You want to aim here first, then you want to straighten the car, parallel, and you want to brake in a straight line, maximum braking. And it's going to take a long time to slow the car down as we're headed downhill. All right. So maximum brakes right there. Our hands, look, our hands are perfectly straight. We're parallel to the red and white candy stripe. We're going to postpone our turn in as long as possible because it's a super late apex. We got to get a ton of rotation done before we start getting to throttle. So we're going to have to be super patient on this corner. So look, I'm turning in. I've still got a lot of brake pressure here. There's a ton of trail braking on this corner because I don't want to push. If I lift off the brakes and just popped off of them and crank the wheel, the car is just going to plow. It's going to push. So you got to hold the brakes on the car a little bit longer, wait for the rotation to happen. And now look, the car is really pivoting quickly and we're aiming for about here. About 2/3 of the way through the corner. And we want to rotate as much as possible so we can start applying the throttle and head this direction. So that rotation and orientation is just absolutely vital on a slow hairpin like this. Look at the speed. It's only 39 miles per hour. Incredibly slow for a racetrack. So you got to be really patient on this one. So we're going to gently increase our throttle. We're not quite aimed the way we want to be, so we've got still a ton of steering input. Look at my hands. Now I'm unwinding the hands. And we're still only going 51 miles per hour, but we've tracked out all the way. Now we're going to unwind the wheel. We're at full throttle and we've tracked all the way out to the blue, so we've maximized the width of the track. So I'll show you one more time. Again, a lot of trail braking, a lot of heavy rotation, late apex. Go all the way out so you can maximize the width of that track and stay left to set up for turn 13 and 14. All right, now we're headed up over a hill, another couple of blind corners here, 13, 14, and then 15. Our goal on these, if you looked at the chat map earlier, we want to be a little slower on 13 so we can be really fast on the exit of 14 and 15 because there's a long straightaway after those. So it's a compromise. We're going to sort of give up turn 13, the first one, and set up for a higher speed exit on 14 so that we can carry that speed for a longer period of time down the straightaway. So we'll watch the whole section, and there's going to be some light braking going on before 13. There's going to be some medium braking before turn 14. There's going to be a lift over the top of the hill in 14. And then we're going to try to straighten our hands and go really fast through 15 and straight line that section at full throttle. It's tricky, and this is really what separates people beginners from intermediates to advanced, is how they can sort of navigate this section. So light brakes there, full throttle, brake hard, off the brakes, rotate a lot, lift over the hill, straighten your hands, go full throttle there, and let the car run free over that next section. And then it's just a straightaway after that. So we'll watch it again at full speed. So again, you go up the hill, you brake up the hill a little bit, turn hard right, go full throttle, brake hard, let the car rotate, lift a little bit, let the car settle, then full throttle, hold full throttle, and straighten your hands, and then it's a straightaway. It's a tricky section because it's deceiving. When we come into this, we start going up a hill. So we want to get the car slowed down a little bit. Notice the light brush of the brakes. And then we're already turning into the corner. We're going to want to hit the apex of this corner about the middle of it. Notice where I'm hitting the red candy stripe. It's about halfway through turn 13. Now we start going downhill. It's pretty steep. So we want to give a burst of full throttle to hustle the car. And then we're going to brake hard. And as we start releasing that brake, it's a hard, short brake. We're going to use that brake to turn the car. So we're going to start releasing the brake pedal as we turn the steering wheel. And we're going to start heading back uphill, which is going to give more traction, allow the car to pivot better. And you'll feel that grip intensify as you head up the hill. But then as you go up and you're like, wow, this feels great. I've got good traction here. You're speeding up a little bit. But then as you get up here, right there, you'll notice that the track, it does some weird, like, it's got almost like a V right here, like that. And you're kind of in it, and it gets unsettled right there. You just kind of feel like, it's kind of bumpy. So you have to wait just a second here and let the car settle down. You're going to want to straighten your hands. See how I kind of got a little, when I hit that V? And that's a nuance that you have to learn when you run this track. But now what we're going to try to do, once we got past that little rough patch, we're oriented in a good direction now. We're kind of headed here. And we go downhill. We compress here at the bottom of the hill, and then we start going uphill again, so we pick up more traction. So it's going to kind of feel weird. You're headed downhill. You're going fast. When you hit the bottom of the hill and you're turning right, the car compresses and it picks up traction. So you're going to feel like you're not going to quite make it comfortably, but gradually start just increasing your speed a little bit, and you'll feel that your car gets better the further you go through this whole section. So it feels a little sketchy from where I am right now to the bottom of the hill. But again, once you hit the bottom of the hill, as long as you're kind of smooth with your hands and smooth with your throttle input, the car actually settles down and really hunkers down and gets in a nice, a nice balanced feeling of high traction. So, see, now we had to lift just a tiny bit there for a second, but now we're full throttle and we're letting the car run free. The hands are pretty straight, and we're going to carry full throttle all the way through to turn 16. So I'll watch it one last time at full speed. And there we go. All right. Let's watch turn 16. It's a hard brake before the corner, off the brakes. Let the car roll free, brake really hard there, and stay hard right to set up the very last corner, which is a lift and then full throttle down the straightaway. So this one is where you can really make up some time. So let's come over this section. All right, so we're going down this. It's basically a straightaway at this point. We're headed into turn 16. You want to get all the way to the left, okay? And then you want to get parallel to the candy stripes. Then you're going to brake hard, but for a short duration. And then we're going to turn in, and we're not necessarily going to need to hit the apex on turn 16. because it's almost like a double apex corner where you sort of don't hit the first apex on 16 because you're going so fast that you'd rather let the car just kind of float through 16 and then straighten it out and get parallel headed into 17. And then you're going to do a threshold braking in turn 17. So I consider this almost like one big long corner instead of two corners. And that's how I treat it. So coming in here, look at that's full braking, off the brakes. You don't need to hit that apex. We're going 86 miles per hour, so it's going to feel fast. There's quite a big steering angle. But then you straighten your hands. See how my hands are already straightening out? And you're going to let the car kind of drift out toward turn 17, and you're going to get it straight, and then you're going to brake really, really hard and try to get the car slowed down so you can make this super right hand. It's like a 90-degree right-hand corner, but you're coming into it pretty quick. So notice that there's trail braking there, and then I'm going to hit a hard right, and I'm staying all the way to the right to set up the last little corner for turn 18, which is going to be a lift, rotation, full throttle. All right, so I'll let you see that at full speed. Again, you're going to brake really hard, but not for long. Turn in sharp, and then start straightening your hands. Straight line, brake hard, rotate really fast and hard, stay hard right, lift here, and then apply full throttle progressively. Track all the way out, and there's your straightaway. You have finished a lap. That's 220, and now let's watch another flying lap and just see how this one goes, and then we'll wrap up the in-depth track tutorial for Charleston Peak Full. So again, hard brakes here, hit that apex, track out full throttle, get back to the right, brake hard, get down in that compression, get to throttle sooner than you think, track out to the blue, full throttle. You're going to brake hard here, you're going to get a lot of rotation to set up. This was a little better than last time. Good, I hit that apex, now I track all the way out, full throttle. We're going to aim a little bit left over the yellow thing. Hard braking, be patient, 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 turn in sharp, start feeding in throttle, track out to the blue, stay left, now creep back over to the right. You're going to do a light brake here to set your speed over the hill. I lifted instead of braking, full throttle, light brake, ride the rail, track out full throttle. Now we're going to lightly brush the brakes here to set our speed, and then we're going to carry that around the corner. We're going to rotate a lot, start feeding in full throttle soon, and then track all the way out, stay right. We're going to brake medium here, off the brakes, get on that left-hand curb, full throttle early, track all the way out to the blue. This is the hardest one. Now you're going to brake. I'm going to miss it again, I think. Brake hard, hard, hard. I missed it by 5 feet. Now recover though, come over the hill and let the car run free to the track out point. Now we're going to again get all the way to the left, threshold braking, super patient. There's a car in front of me, so I'm going to have to pass him on the right. So that kind of screwed up my exit, but still, you can recover. Creep back to the left. We're going to do a light braking before this corner. I just lifted that time to experiment. Brake hard, rotate, lift a little bit over the hill, full throttle through this, over the next one, full throttle. Gently nudge back to the left, brake hard, get the turn in, let the car drift to the left, then brake hard, stay hard to the right here, and then we're going to lift, and then come back to full throttle on the exit, track out to the blue, and then there's another lap, and that was going to be a little bit slower because of the traffic. Well, I sure hope that was helpful. Our goal is to help you achieve your personal best. Let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear from you, and good luck at Charleston Peak Full Course. Thank you very much for your attention.